Welcome to the Music Biz Weekly Podcast, founded in 2011 and with over 500 weekly episodes, where Michael Brandvold discusses the very latest trends, tools, and tactics that you need to succeed in this new music business.
The Music Biz Weekly Podcast has moved to a brand new YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss future episodes. Visit www.musicbizweeklypodcast.com, subscribe on YouTube, follow and rate us on Spotify, subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. We appreciate your support.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Music Biz Weekly Podcast. I want to just do a real quick shout out before we get started with our conversation with this really cool guy. It's true, his name is really cool. I want to do a shout out to Bruce and Jeremy and everybody over at Hypebot and Bands in Town for all of your longtime continued support of the Music Biz Weekly Podcast. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much. So post-transition, Dave Cool, you are the first guest on the new generation, the third generation. I don't know what generation. The Music Biz Weekly Podcast just lives on, continues on through changes. Dave, thanks for joining. You've been a long time returning guest, supporter, friend of the podcast. So it feels really appropriate that you are the first guest.
I appreciate that. It does. I've been part of all the eras of the music.
Yeah, you were there back at the beginning with Brian.
With Brian, yeah. Who was a total jerk to me right before we went live. I don't know if you remember that, but that was awful.
I don't. Honestly, I don't.
He basically insinuated, this was back when I was working with Bandzoogle, and Bandzoogle sponsored the podcast for a minute. You and I had known each other for a long time, and you had invited me on to be a guest. And right before we do the interview, Brian was like, but Bandzoogle stopped sponsoring. Dave, why are we having you on? I'm like, oh, I'm only worthwhile to interview because Bandzoogle is sponsoring? You asshole. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast, but I was like,
you can.
I was like, dude, come on, man. Like, you stormed onto the scene in this music marketing world and, like, made a name for yourself. But, like, this, we've been around for a long time. So I was like, I did the interview and I was like, I love Michael, but I have no time for that.
I honest God, I don't remember that. But again, that would have been 15 years ago.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like, I don't even remember the guest we've had on that far back.
Yeah, exactly. But you stood up for me. You absolutely stood up for me. No, but you stood up for me. You're like, Brian, I've known Dave for a long time. Like, he's a welcome guest on the podcast, and it was fine.
He's literally a cool guy.
Yeah, well, we can get into that. Not really. I don't really live up to it. But then, of course, the podcast went on after you guys parted ways, and then Jay, how many years with Jay?
Oh, Jay's probably been a good over 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. 500 some episodes.
500 episodes. Yeah, insane. I mean, congratulations. I mean, it's such an incredible run. Been thrilled to have been involved in all these different eras and to help kickstart a new era for the podcast. I mean, it speaks to the longevity of the podcast itself and to just your career in the music industry.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, it speaks to the commitment of doing a podcast every week as you basically commit to do when you launch a podcast. I mean, I think I've seen various stats over the years that like 1% of the podcasts that get launched ever make it past 5 episodes because people just give up. They don't have consistency. And I'm just like, I've always felt that consistency is important. It's like, if you tell people every Monday there's going to be a new episode, there needs to be a new episode.
Absolutely. That's you're absolutely right. That commitment. I mean, I briefly had a podcast years ago, and I think I did 5 or 6 episodes, and I was doing it all myself and doing all the editing. I was like, this is way too much work. So just to have that commitment to putting out a new episode every week for 15 years plus is incredible.
Now, granted, there's been weeks we've missed. I mean, it's just natural, but I think we're We're over 650, 660 episodes.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I want to touch on your intro, thanking bands in town for their support and Bruce and Jeremy. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any happier human being that to see Hypebot get this new era in its
Isn't
existence.
isn't isn't the fresh coat of paint really nice looking?
It's really nice. It looks amazing. So Jeremy Young, who's now helping to run Hypebot in this transition, as Bruce very, very slowly retires from various commitments in the music industry. Um, Jeremy worked with me at Bandzoogle. I hired Jeremy to run the Bandzoogle blog for a few years while I was transitioning to a business development role at the company, and had been overseeing the blog. Jeremy was helping. He ran the Soundfly blog, Flypaper, for years. Incredible, incredible writer editor. He's here in Montreal, New Yorker, but married a French girl, and lives up here in Montreal. And he and I became very close over the years. So to see him kind of take the mantle with Hypebot, and when it launched, I mean, I'd known Jeremy for a long time, and I immediately reached out to the Bands in Town team, Fabrice and Muriel and Bruce, and said, "You clearly hired the right person. Like
Yeah.
it looks amazing. I can see Jeremy's fingerprints all over this content. Like it just makes me really happy and credit to Fabrice and Muriel and their team to invest the time and money to continue Hypebot as an entity.
I
It's
agree.
incredible.
I mean, Hypebot, when I started my company 16 years ago, you know, I wasn't in the online music marketing space. I hit the Google search and Hypebot came up. And I was just like, this is literally everything you need to know. I
Yep.
mean, I've always looked at Hypebot as they're the grandfather of all of these music websites, news, marketing. But what I've always loved about Hypebot is it's more than just sharing news and press releases. There's always been original articles, whether they write them themselves or they have contributors.
Yeah.
Talking about, hey, try this marketing tactic. I just did this, this, this. This was my results. Um, I always have liked that about Hypebot.
Oh yeah.
In not to diminish any of the many other websites out there with music news now, but a lot of them are just music news. It's just headlines. It's the big stories.
Yeah.
And Hypebot has always been, I felt like, if you're a musician, you need to be following Hypebot because this is where you're going to learn your trade.
Absolutely. And I don't know if Bruce ever likes me saying this, but like I've considered him a mentor for the last 20 years. I mean, he featured a documentary film I had made 20 years ago. Now it's the 20th anniversary of this film called What is Indie? A look into the world of independent musicians, and it was featured on Hypebot. Like that was like some of the first press I got, and he was super supportive of me and my career, and I was a contributing writer to Hypebot for years. And when I joined Bandzoogle, running their blog, fed Hypebot a lot of content over the years. So to see it get this kind of second life is really makes me happy. It makes me happy
Yeah,
for Bruce and makes me happy for Jeremy. It makes me happy for bands in town. And so it is a resource. And you see the type of content they're doing now. It's very makes sense. They're incorporating a lot more live news, live music news, which makes complete sense because of bands in town's involvement and ownership over the property. But it's really, I think, going to be even more so a destination that, industry and artists will hopefully continue to use because it's, at least for now, it's still free, which a lot of, press and things are gated, things are,
I can't stand, and I'm not implying that that's what other music business websites do. It's just so many news websites in general
Yeah,
are just like, oh yeah, you used up your 3 free articles this month.
exactly.
Subscribe for $1 a month to read more, and I'm just like, oh fuck, I am. I know this has been all over the news. I am so subscription fatigued. It's not even funny at this point.
Yeah.
I am really, let me back up. Maybe a year, 18 months ago, another subscription for $10. I really wouldn't think much about that. No big deal. Now I'm just like, are you kidding me? It's another subscription. It's another this one. It's another, that one's raising the subscription $1 a month. And it's gotten me to the point where I'm like evaluating all of these subscriptions, whether it's streaming services, tools I use in my daily business. It's like, do I need that anymore? Or, oh, your free service is going away and now you're going to have to start paying us $30 a month. And it's like, no, I really don't want to start paying you $30 a month. It was a free service. I will go find another free service. Maybe it doesn't have all the same bells and whistles, but it's got 80% of what I need.
Yeah, exactly. I watched a great video on a service that I subscribe to. So I subscribe to YouTube Premium, but talking about the concept of you just don't own anything anymore. We're all subscribing to things without, like, even like certain features in cars you now have to subscribe to have access to them. It's insane. Like
I haven't hit that issue yet of not owning it. But, and I probably have talked about this in past episodes. I spent like 4 years in the adult industry doing affiliate marketing. And the adult industry has always been in the forefront of internet technology and tactics and tools before mainstream. The first video on demand was adult. First credit card processing online was adult. Subscription websites have been part of the adult business for decades. That's what, the affiliate world is all about, getting more traffic to sell another subscription to the website that you're paying to watch videos and see photos. Well, one of, and this might be obvious to a lot of people, but the dirty little inside secret is they loved subscriptions back then. Why? Because the vast majority of consumers don't, and I think this still exists to this day, but it's now in the mainstream world. You don't look at your credit card bill every month. You get the statement that says you owe $350, you pay $350. You don't open it up and look at each line item and go, the hell is this $15.99 for? Subscriptions just kept turning over and turning over and turning over month after month after month, even when people didn't utilize the subscription.
Oh, of course.
You wouldn't send them an email saying, hey, you haven't logged in a while. You might want to log in. No, don't say anything. You just kept collecting that monthly subscription to a website. Yeah. And then the other trick was they realized, don't do $19.99, come up with $17.73 and make your business name sound normal, because a quick glance you might go, oh, that must have been lunch somewhere.
Right.
If the business name is Adult Entertainment Website Incorporated, red flag. You're like, oh no, I got to get that off my bill. But if it's something generic and safe sounding, so I mean, subscriptions have been something I've been living with in the business sense for decades, and mainstream has really figured that out. I mean,
oh yeah, SaaS is huge, but now, like with AI, it's, there's some question of is there going to be a reckoning for SaaS as a model, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like, and Apple as an example has really realized there's a lot of revenue they make selling their subscriptions to their websites, their services, that, everybody, so at the end of the day, it's like, well, what's my subscription to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Music? I mean, and that's consumers. We're not even digging into all of the tools an artist might need or want to use, that more and more of them are not offering free versions, freemium plans. It's just jumps straight into, this is going to cost you $25 a month to do this. Yeah. And, I look at this through the eyes of artists and I go, I can feel the pain. Artists don't have unlimited funds to subscribe to 12 different services that they need to help manage content and upload and do this and do that. They might be able to afford one or two.
Yeah.
It's just, again, the subscription fatigue is just becoming unbearable in the mainstream world and in the music industry now. It's just like, I don't mind services that have subscriptions, and I would love to see what you think of this, but offer some sort of a free tier, not a trial, right. A free tier. I've seen so many websites where it's like, sure, you can come here and use it for free for 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't even get my account fully set up within 3 days, let alone kick the tires and try and really use it to see if it's worth continuing to pay.
Yeah.
Give me a free tier that doesn't expire. Sure, you cut out 50% of the bells and whistles and you limit how much you can do. I'm fine with that. But to have all these tools start just becoming flat out, you can't even kick the tires without paying us $12. It's like, sorry, that ain't gonna happen.
No, and we were talking off air about like how many startups, new startups, are happening every week, and who truly believe like they're going to solve some kind of problem for artists or save the music industry or what have you, and automatically charging 20, 30, 50, $500, whatever their pricing model is. And it's like, yeah, but this exists already, or there's free tools that also do this.
Or it's not really a problem to begin with.
Or it's not a problem to be solved to begin with. You're kind of making up a problem and hoping that musicians will, that long tail of the music industry. That's something I've been so focused on for 25 years. It's huge, obviously, but it's, artists on that level, they're being sold to so much by so many different companies, and it's overwhelming, and you don't really know who to trust. Companies come and go, and there's limited dollars, obviously, to invest in all these different tools, and it's hard to know which ones actually offer value. And getting back to bands in town, I mean, that's where I would start. If I was an artist starting out today and if I performed live shows, I would create a Bandstown for Artists account immediately, because of all the tools that they include, which it's really incredible to see how much they've done and how much they've invested in tools for artists over the last 5+ years, whether we're talking about email and direct engagement with their fans. Gig Salad, who I'm now working with Gig Salad since last fall, and it's free to join Gig Salad as an artist. And there are premium subscriptions which get you, some extra bells and whistles, but the baseline is it's free to join. And if you're willing to play private corporate events, private parties, things like that, you can create a profile. And if you're in a cover band or a DJ or an instrumentalist, and someone's looking for that in your city and they do a Google search, chances are your profile on Gig Salad will pop up, and it's free. It's free to join. So other like Bandcamp, to me, any service or platform that gives artists access to their data, and this is something you've been harping on for many years,
free access to their data.
Free access to their data, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm the artist and I'm bringing my customers to your platform and they're giving the data to your backend, I want I don't want to have to pay to be able to reach my customers.
No, exactly.
The thing I've always hyped on is, you know, go where there's no algorithms playing around with you, because the algorithm is designed to make you want to pay. You want to reach more people on Facebook, pay. You want to reach more people on Instagram, pay. Where are there no algorithms? If all my fans are following me on Bands in Town and I send a message to all my fans, they'll get a notification. I'm not guaranteeing they're going to open it up and they're going to act on it, but there's no algorithm on Bands in Town that says you've got 150,000 followers and you just messaged them. Well, we're only sending it to 3% of those 150. And if you want the rest of them to get a notification of your tour, pay us. That doesn't exist in the Bands in Town
No, exactly.
world.
Exactly.
It exists everywhere else. And that's also part of that. It's not necessarily subscription fatigue, but it's just fatigue of, who am I talking to? Because it's like nobody's listening, because that's the way these services have been all designed, for nobody to hear your message unless you pay the service to put the message in front of them.
Yeah, exactly. So tools like Bandintown, Bandcamp, where you own your data, even Bandzoogle. So, I was at Bandzoogle for 14 years, and the amount of value that you get from a $20 a month subscription with Bandzoogle. I mean, you have your official artist website, a domain name, mailing list, direct to fan, e-commerce. I mean, it's in terms of, you know, providing value. There's not many platforms out there that do what Bandzoogle does, and you own your data. You can message your fans, and if you ever cancel or what have you, you take that list of emails with you. I mean, it's very ethical. So those types of companies, and even in the live space, we were talking a little bit before, you know, any way that you can capture data from your fans. So services like Set.live.
I love they've been on the podcast in the past,
Cool.
but it's one of those, I don't just endorse them, I actually use them. I've had clients where I've set it up. And yes, Set.live, it's free. It's
Yeah.
free to use. You actually gather email addresses at your shows. And more importantly, it's painless for the fans to give you their email address. They literally just go back to your merch stand and scan a QR code, and they're automatically put into a list in the back end of your profile on Set.live that says, Dave Cool came and saw me play in Montreal on this date, and here's his address. You can export all that data.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I do. I export the data out of Set.live as email addresses and import it into the email list on Bands in Town.
And Bandintown. Exactly. That's so smart. Yeah, that's what, if you're performing live, that's exactly what you should be doing. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention kind of Canadian rock royalty, Our Lady Peace, Rain Maida, the singer, has a startup called Fan Drops, which is similar-ish, but collecting data from your fans at live shows. And so he's another one who he went through that major label system, came out of it with little to no data of his fans. And, Our Lady Peace is touring, and then so they're doing their best to collect the data of their fans who are coming to see their show so that they can have that direct relationship. Because they, when you're in that major label world, at least it used to be that way. I mean, they're not sharing that with the bands if they're
No.
handling
Oh, God,
the
no.
sales, and the ticketing companies certainly aren't.
Oh,
So
please, I've always joked about this. You can be the biggest artist in the world and go ask Ticketmaster to give you the email addresses of all of your fans who bought tickets over the last tour. Ticketmaster will laugh you out of the house. It's like, no, we're not giving you that data.
no, they own that data. Those
They
are their
own,
customers. Yeah.
they're their customers, even though it's your fans that you drove to their platform to buy your tickets. You don't own that data.
No, exactly. Exactly. There's also in the superfan space, I have so many questions for you, but there's even who are making a lot of headlines and lots of big partnerships with all the, like, Universal, I think is the latest one, but they've partnered with a bunch of different distributors. And I'm curious your thoughts on even specifically, but also just the superfan space. It became something, feels like something like you and I and others have been talking about for years, and it became kind of the buzzword in the last
Yeah,
couple of years, but
yeah,
now
yeah.
it feels like it's fading. And I'm
I
curious.
mean, I have no actual hands-on experience with even, but I will talk about the superfan concept. And I think I've chatted about this over past episodes for many years. I mean, superfans have always been there. They're always your most important fans. They're the ones that will, I don't want to say blindly, but almost blindly will support everything you do. They're also the fans that are the most easiest piss off and drive away. You know, the dividing line between love and hate is a very fine line, and it's very easy to take somebody who loves you and make them hate you. Once they hate you, it's really hard to get them to come back over that same line.
Yeah,
So
you've essentially
it's
lost
a
them.
it's a very delicate relationship, but the more super fans you have and the better you treat them, the better your relationship's going to be in the long run. Now, saying all of that, what I've seen over the last year or two is, to your point, super fans become a buzzword. But what worries me is I see it used in the context of, well, how can we get your super fan to spend more money? That's
Spend more
it.
money. Yeah.
Just how can we get more money out of the super fan? And listen, I'm the first one who's always thought about what can we do special for super fans to get them to spend more money. But I never looked at super fans exclusively as just a checkbook. Because as a fan, as a super fan of some bands, I feel very insulted when my band treats me as a super fan as nothing more than a consumer to buy another piece of merch.
Yeah.
I quickly start losing interest. If all you're doing to a super fan is pitching, well, I'll come straight out and say it. And we've mentioned it in the past. I'm a huge Kiss fan. A couple years ago, Kiss sold their, not music, but they sold their brand, their
Yeah.
trademarks, their licensing, the makeup, the logo, all of that. They sold it to a company called Pop House
Yeah.
for like reportedly $350 million. So Gene and Paul don't own Kiss anymore. It's owned by a corporation, Pop House, who also does this with ABBA and Cyndi Lauper and a couple other artists. Well, Pop House rebranded the Kiss Army Fan Club, which has been around in some form or another since the mid 70s, which has always been looked at as the model for other artists. If you can build a tribe as devoted as the Kiss Army, you've got something. Well, they've rebranded it as like, all right, you can join the Kiss Army Fan Club. I don't know, it's like $50 a year. It's not a bad price. But the primary benefits are it gets you 24-hour early access to buy new merchandise for the rest of the fans. Right. And I'm like, that's not a benefit. As a super fan, I am not going to pay money to be able to give you more money before another fan can, especially on products that are going to be there after that 24-hour early window is closed and they're still available. Oh, this t-shirt? Well, you can buy this t-shirt in advance of everybody else because you're a Kiss Army member. Well, it's going to be there tomorrow for the same price.
Yeah.
So
it's not exclusive to
there's
the Kiss Army.
There's not a benefit. So that's the sort of stuff where I'm like, I don't mind bands pitching merchandise. God, I grew up as a Kiss fan and I worked for Kiss. I understand the value of that. But that can't be your primary incentive to super fans of We love you. We support you. We want you. And here's what you're going to be able to do is give us money early.
No, exactly. There's got to be
There's
so
got
much
to
more
be
than that.
more than just, you've got to give them more than just access to spend money.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be some exclusivity, there's some engagement, some experiences that you won't find anywhere else.
Now, granted, a lot of artists, a fan club gives you early access to buy concert tickets before the general public. That's a legitimate value. But when you've got a band like Kiss, who is no longer a touring band, it's no longer an active performing band, there's no value in early access to tickets because there are no tickets.
No, exactly.
So you've got to look at your band specifically. And, I think we probably talked about this when you were with My Seed. It's like every artist fan club has to be uniquely tailored to that artist and their fans, their super fans. What is going to be the button that you can push for your super fans that makes them get goosebumps? Oh my God, I can't believe I can do this.
Yeah.
That's not the same for this band, that band, and every other band. It's unique to your band, and that only comes from you, the artist, and this is the big hurdle, knowing who your fans are and knowing who your super fans are out of your regular fans and what triggers them. You can't just assume our super fans are going to want early access to tickets and an exclusive t-shirt. It's like, no, they may not give a crap about that stuff. What they might want is chats with you.
Chats, or like a live stream Q&A.
A live stream Q&A, a private VIP experience just for the super fans, separate from the regular fan VIP experience. Yeah, something along those lines. You've really got to think it out. And I feel like right now, tell me what you think, this whole super fan buzz that we're experiencing is literally just, it feels like it's just focused on how can we get them to use the credit card again and again and again and again. And it's ignoring everything else in a super fan relationship.
I tend to agree with that, and it's definitely has elements of that for sure. And it feels like it was so hyped, and now it feels like it's getting buried a little bit. I mean, obviously AI is everywhere, including in our industry, and that seems to be getting all the headlines. But when the majors start getting involved and start talking about super fans, it's
When a major label wants to really focus on super fans, I worry.
Yeah, so it may have
as a fan, I worry. Purely as a fan, not as an industry person. As a fan, I worry because and I'm not faulting them as a major label. They got to make money, so they're looking at new ways to make more money and more money. And we know record sales aren't what they are, so they're always looking for new revenue streams. But it worries me when a major label jumps on. Are they just looking for another tool to open the wallet and get you to spend some money? Again, super fans have been around forever. Taking care of super fans have been around forever. And you can do it as an artist without investing money in special tool sets. Yeah. It comes down to looking at your data and paying attention to your data. I mean, I think I've used this example before when I ran Kiss's online store decades ago. Every Christmas, I would ask the e-commerce department, give me a list of the 10 fans who purchased the most over the last year.
Right.
And they just give me a Excel file of here's name, email address, how much they spent. Thank you very much. And their address. And what I would do is every holiday season, I would grab one of Kiss's private Christmas cards that they send out to friends, family, business associates. and I'd grab 10 of those and I would address it to those 10 super fans
That's
as,
amazing.
hey,
Yeah.
thank you very much. You were one of the top customers in the KISS online store. As a way to say thank you, here's a Christmas card. No fans get these.
Love it. Yeah, that's
They're
amazing.
very rare, very limited. Thank you very much. Now, we might also do something like we're going to give you a one-time off, 50% off coupon in the store. A significant savings. I will come right out and say, to go to a super fan and say, here, you get a 10% discount. Please, that's a freaking insult to a super fan. You should be giving that super fan 50% off and no limitations on what they can apply it to, short of concert tickets and stuff like that you don't actually control, the price and the inventory. But
Exactly.
if it's all the merchandise in your store, a one-time purchase, 50% off, it's worth it. And that's done without any special tools, third-party websites, subscriptions, all this stuff. It's you looking at that list and going, these are our biggest supporters. And you can get that list. You can look at who comments the most on your Facebook post. Pay attention. You see the same name over and over and over again. It's a super fan.
Yeah, with My Seat, I mean, one of the success stories they had was he's still using My Seat, G Herbo, an artist out of Chicago, a hip hop artist out of Chicago. And I forget if it was monthly, but I think it was every month. Like the most engaged fans on his Superfan app would get something special for being so engaged, leaving comments, likes, things like that, purchasing merch through the app. And so there would be this leaderboard that they'd post every month to show like the most engaged fans on the app, and you'd be encouraged because if you made it onto that list, you get something special from the artist himself, which that it kind of gamifies a little bit the engagement through the app, and also add some competitiveness to it, and you get something cool if you make it onto that board. So yeah, exactly, like finding those biggest fans and actually giving them something that is a valuable, exclusive, and not just it. There's a danger there, and you hope that with major labels getting involved now, and I don't mean to shit on major labels. Like there's a lot of good people that work at these labels, obviously, but you hope that it just doesn't become a cash grab,
another commerce stream.
And to your point of like, you could, these are your most beloved fans who love you, but if they start to see it as a cash grab, then you're going to lose them. And then,
and that's the important thing is you got to keep in mind your super fans are also, to use such a common overused term, they're your influencers in your fan base.
Absolutely.
Because they're the ones other fans know who these super fans are. They are friends with them. They might read their comments. They follow what they're doing. They recognize them at shows. If your super fan praises you and talks you up and how great you are and how well you're treating them and how cool this is, there's a pretty damn good chance they're going to be driving other sales from other fans. That's why it's not always about getting more money from your super fan. It's engaging with your super fans so they can push their followers to make more purchases.
Yeah.
And again, you've got to pay attention. You've got to watch. I don't want to see this turn into, we've got all these tools that you can sell more tickets to super fans. You can sell more t-shirts to super fans. You can sell more insert anything to super fans. It's like, as myself being a super fan, if all the messaging I'm getting from KISS is, here's today's discount item, here's today's special item, here's today's early access item, I don't give a shit. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I'm not going to spend my money on that stuff. You've got to create a balance between spending more money and giving them stuff to not spend money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so curious where that's all going to go. Like that again, that platform even they have some pretty slick tools and feature sets. I don't know what the traction is with them, but they certainly have a lot of partnerships and now partnered with Universal. I'm very curious to see where that all goes because it was such a buzzword for so long. And of course, there's players like MySeat who I was with for about a year, and there's other platforms out there as well. But to me, it always comes back to like, who's been doing this forever is Bandcamp. Like essentially, that's your biggest fans, and it's free.
Yeah.
You own your data, and you do uneven to be clear, and MySeat through those platforms. But to me, it's like you look at the traction that Bandcamp has and continues to have. I'm always amazed when they release the stats from their Bandcamp Fridays and how many millions of dollars of essentially MP3s they're selling to fans. It's crazy. It's amazing. And um, to see the traction they still have worldwide, I mean, they're the biggest online music store in the world, non-streaming.
They've done, whether it was intentional or unintentional, they've done a great job creating the brand Bandcamp.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Fans get, when you hear Bandcamp, they know what that means. They know what that is. It's
Yeah.
not just another online store.
No, exactly.
There's a message that's conveyed because you're supporting an artist through Bandcamp.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Although when I was at Bandzoogle, we had a joke, a little internal joke that every day was Bandcamp Friday at Bandzoogle because Bandzoogle never took a cut of sales either for direct to fan
Yep.
sales. So we're like, that's cool. Like, look, at the end of the day, artists making more money and owning their data is what's most important. And so it's all good, but it was just funny. We're like, they did such a great job with the PR of that, like waiving their fees for that one Friday a month. And we're like, yeah, I mean, we do that every day, though.
You waived your fees forever. You've
but
never had fees.
but it's all good. It's not the same, right? It's your artist website versus what essentially is a marketplace, an online music store that also has this amazing discoverability factor where like you can look into the most niche genres of music and find some really obscure indie. It
Yep.
reminds me of the days I used to order at least one or two CDs every single month from random indie bands from CD Baby. Like just shop for new music on CD Baby when they used to do direct to fan
Yep.
CD sales. And Bandcamp kind of took that into like the MP3 world, online world, and now streaming to a certain extent. But yeah, I I find it fascinating that Bandcamp is still so prevalent, and they've done such a good job, like you said, with their brand. But I'm curious where the superfan discussion goes. It seems to be getting buried a little bit in the whole, AI discussion, which the music industry finds itself again in a crossroads of AI slop and companies using copyrighted music to train their models to pump out AI music. And what do you fight it? Do you partner with it? Do you license it? It seems like every, I don't know, decade or so, there's this new
I think
crisis.
we can come back to a future discussion about AI. I think it's too big of a beast to fight.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to learn how to use it.
I would
And
agree with that. It's too late. The genie's out of the bottle, clearly.
The genie's out of the bottle. This ain't going away. This isn't AI is not an NFT.
No.
All right.
No, exactly.
NFT is gone. It's over.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's still not an underlying technology on platforms and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
people buying and selling NFTs was
NFTs.
never a thing. That's over. That's dead. AI is here, and it's only going to become more and more embedded into everyday life. And I've said this in the past. You've got to look past what right now is the shiny ball, the squirrel excitement right now. Oh my God, I can create an image by just typing something in. How cool is that? Yeah, that's AI, but ultimately that's not what AI is going to be known for. Oh, I can create a video by typing in a description, uploading a photo and animating it and turning it into yeah, that's cool. But that's not the ultimate what AI is going to be. AI is going to be so deeply part of all of our lives, you don't even know AI exists. That's when AI becomes useful. When you don't have to ask ChatGPT to do something for you, whatever you're in your smartphone or the app you're using, it just does it because it knows what you want to do and it creates it for you. And you're going to look at that and go, wow, that just saved me 20 minutes of work.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I listen to a lot of ambient music when I'm working, and I have, I use Spotify and different playlists, ambient music playlists on Spotify. And I wonder now how much of these artists are humans and how much of it is AI generated ambient background music, and which they don't have to pay royalties on, right? So,
but I mean, and to the whole uproar about AI bands creating AI music, none of it's real. Yeah. I'm like, I get it. There's an issue that's got to be dealt with there, but when just being devil's advocate, when keyboards first became mainstay in the early 80s in rock bands, and all of a sudden you're like, man, I love that saxophone in the song. Well, that's not a saxophone, that's a keyboard.
Right. Imitating
the saxophone. Oh, a drum machine. That's a great drum. No, it's not a drum. That's a drum machine. And even when it comes to AI creating videos or photos, well, CGI has been around. Let's go back to, I'll date myself. I remember seeing Jurassic Park opening weekend in the movie theater, and my jaw literally dropped as I'm watching on screen these lifelike dinosaurs walking across a field. It's like, I know they're not real, but oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Photoshop. Jesus, you could basically, people have been doing Photoshop before AI existed. Was that real or was that Photoshop?
Right. Oh, for sure.
So,
for sure.
Auto-tune, this stuff has always been around in a different form or another. And it eventually figured out its place in the ecosphere. And we all lived and we're fine with it. And I think AI will be the same way ultimately. The thing is, AI is going to be something that everybody's going to be able to utilize, not just a developer who understands how to create animated dinosaurs on a workstation.
No.
Everybody can do that now.
For sure. My concern with music, though, is we're seeing already with how many AI generated tracks are being uploaded every day. Is that going to drown out the human artist? Because it would be in Spotify's best financial interest to not pay as much in streaming payouts. And so if there's just a flood of AI generated music, what happens to the long tail of artists who are already struggling to get to 1,000 streams so they can actually get, fractions of a penny? Like what?
Let's keep in mind. My feeling is the streaming services, it's not their job to market and promote your music.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
It's you, the artist. That's your job to do that. So are you competing against an AI artist? I don't know if you are. You're competing against yourself to do everything you can to drive your fans to your music, to listen to your music. Do I think changes have to happen and changes will happen? Of course. When streaming services were first built, nobody imagined AI bands and AI music. Now they're having to contend with it. What will they do? Well, is it first question I would ask is it the job of the retail, meaning the streaming service, Spotify, the Apple Music, to address AI music and artists in their platform? Or is it the job of who puts the music into those services, the distributors, to do that? And, I think at some point in time, it might not be a bad idea that, a distributor has tools to identify AI music when it's uploaded and going, that's fine. We will distribute this, but it's got a flag when it gets
Flag on it,
submitted
yeah.
to the streaming service that says this is an AI tune. And then it gets put into a section of AI music, or it's got a flag next to the artist's name or something like that. Because AI, for the most part, has traits that can be identified. If you ask ChatGPT to create you a photo and you just take that photo straight out of ChatGPT, there's embedded data in there that identifies it as being created by AI. Now, Facebook could write an algorithm that says, hey, we just identified that hidden metadata and we're going to flag it and we're going to alert everybody when this is uploaded, not a real image.
Yeah,
Now,
but
they could do that.
they're refusing to. They're the head of Instagram. It's
No, I
essentially
know.
saying like, we're not going to do
Nope,
this.
not going to do that. I mean, it's not in their best interest to do that because they want more people using their service, means more ad revenue, more eyeballs, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It might take legislation to actually make that happen. But, again, you ask ChatGPT to write you a term paper and you just copy it out of a ChatGPT and paste it into a Word document and give it to a teacher. They can run it through software that says, without even reading it themselves, software will say, no, this was generated by AI.
For sure.
Or X% of it was. So it's capable, the capabilities are there. Who's responsible for doing it? How are they going to do it? What are the systems that are going to have to be built to do this? As we've always said on the podcast, you don't anticipate this stuff, and somebody finds this hole in the system. They game the system for as long as they can until a developer somewhere shuts down the hole, and then they look for the next hole that they can game the system.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to put a pin in that, getting back to Bandcamp and their brand, they took a very hard stance. No AI generated music on Bandcamp. And I think that's so smart and fits in with their brand. And it's interesting. Maybe that'll change in the future. Who knows? But you'll know as a consumer, as a fan, that you can go on there and whatever music you're buying has been created by
But
humans, which is interesting.
my question is, how are they enforcing that? Are they just trusting you when you upload it that you're saying it's not AI? Or
that I don't know. I would imagine
are
there
they
must be
actually
filters.
running it through some software, some algorithms to verify it's truly not AI?
I'll be honest, I don't know, but I would hope so.
You know as well as I do. Again, somebody will look at that and go, I know they're not really testing. They're just hoping we're being honest. I'm going to game the system until they don't allow me to game the system.
Technology definitely exists to be able to flag AI generated music. I would hope that they're using it if they're instituting that policy, but I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. But it's interesting. I think it fits their brand and it's going to create. Yeah, I think it's really on brand for them.
I mean, coming from the marketing side of things, I'm like, that's a great marketing phrase to say, no AI music here. That's cool. I get that.
Yeah.
Now, me as the tech person who has enough technology understanding and insight, I go, are you really doing that? How are you really doing that?
Right.
Are you just, it's sort of like when you upload a video to YouTube, you're supposed to test a checkbox to say if there was any altered material in this video. But guess what? If you don't check the checkbox, you can still upload the video.
Yeah.
And I could create an AI video and I could say no altered material in here and still upload it. Are they behind the scenes invisibly, blocking my video from exposure? I don't know. That's what I would like to ask as the technical business person going, I applaud your efforts, but are you really doing this? And how are you really doing this? Because I know damn well somebody's going to find the truth and is going to game the system to make money and hurt other people until you shut down the whole.
Yeah. And there's also, what constitutes AI generated music. If you used some AI tools in the production of the music, but it was made by humans, does that count? There's like, there's a lot of gray zone there with
Oh,
AI
yeah.
tools as well. So that's all interesting. Michael, look,
Yeah.
man,
Let's, let,
I got to run because my daughter is still in daycare. I'm an old dad and my daughter's in daycare and I have to go pick her up.
well, let's wrap, Dave. So
Yeah.
real quick, you are no longer at My Seat. You're at Gig Salad now. So fill us in real quick about that and how to reach out to you.
Sure, yeah. So Gig Salad is a company I've known for many years. They've been around since 2007, but Bandzoogle was partnered with them for about 10 years, still are. And I got to know Mark Steiner, the CEO and co-founder who you've had on the podcast, and became very close over the years. And yeah, when I left Bandzoogle and I went to My Seat, and I kept in touch with a lot of people, Mark Steiner being one of them, and there was an opportunity where they were looking to bring someone on board to help them run marketing, business development, and it's speaking of AI and human, and GigSal is a platform where humans are hiring other humans for events, and it's an
Yep.
interesting, I think it's going to be an increasingly important platform. But essentially, GigSal, for anyone who doesn't know who they are, it connects event planners with um, vendors and entertainers and event services. So an event planner could be everyone from a professional corporate event planner to and there are clients including like Pepsi and Nike and on that level who use Gig Salad, or it could be a mom or a dad who need a face painter or a balloon twister for their kid's birthday party. And they come on to Gig Salad and be like, I need to find a face, or they Google face painter in Montreal, and chances are they're going to get served a result from Gig Salad. So it connects event planners with vendors and entertainers. About half of what Gigsalad does is music related. So bands, cover bands, party bands, DJs, instrumentalists, saxophone players, mariachi bands is a huge category on Gigsalad. People love hiring mariachi bands. And yeah, I oversee the marketing team there. I have one staff member. We're a department of two, and she's great. And most of my time is spent really trying to find ways to get more event planners to book the artists that are on Gig Salad. And so that's a lot of fun. And in 2025, so I only joined in September, but in 2025, Gig Salad, there were over 25,000 bookings for musicians on the platform,
Wow.
which generated over $13 million for those musicians and
Wow. That's
bands,
great.
which is really cool. And these are gigs. Look, I always preface this when talking to musicians. It's hard to make a living making music. Clearly, we all we all know this. It's not easy to make a full-time living and to make enough money doing it. So often musicians have to work a side job or, part-time job or what have you. You know, Joining a platform like Gixel, it's free, I should point out. You can create a profile for free. You can pay for premium subscriptions where you get, higher visibility and you can add more locations and get more, there's more bells and whistles, but base level, you can join for free and get booked. And these are gigs that maybe there's sometimes it's happening, but most often you're going to have to play covers or you're not going to be the center of attention. You're going to be in the background. You're going to be a string quartet. You're going to be a saxophone player. You're going to be a cover band at
Right.
a wedding or a party. Um, but you get to play your instrument and play music and get paid really well. Like these are gigs that pay really well.
And maybe that gig supports your original effort in music.
Exactly. So you can play a couple of weddings a month and pay for a new recording or pay your bills and focus on the creative side of your artistry. And you can create a completely different band that's just does covers, that's nothing to do with your original, music, um, and get booked at. I always tell the story when talking about Gixal because when Ben Ziegel partnered with them, the project manager at the time at Bain Zoogle was a classically trained opera singer. And he was like, oh, gig salad. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, I'll create a profile and see what it's like. And he got booked like within 2 weeks. He got Basically, event planners come on, they find your profile and they ask for a quote, and you go back and forth, and you can quote whatever. But Gig Salad takes 5% of the booking, and that's it. And he got booked to sing the Canadian national anthem at a junior hockey game, like just after joining the platform. And he was like, I would have like, these are the types of gigs that as a musician and artist, like you're, how do you find these pride events? And because they pay well, these are, it's the opposite of the supply and demand when you're an original band. And I've been there I've been there on both sides as a musician trying to get booked and as a booker at a venue where you have 100 bands a week contacting you to try to get booked. You're like, there's too much supply and like, there's just not enough demand. So, the pay tends to be not very good.
Pretty low.
Pretty
Yep.
low. But in this case, you have event planners who are stressed. They've got a big event coming up, whether it's a birthday party as a parent or a corporate event, corporate retreat, and you need to find entertainment and you find a band, they have good reviews on Gig Salad, and they're like, here's my budget. Here's 5 grand to perform 2 sets at this corporate retreat, what have you. I mean, it's completely flipped the concept of supply and demand, which is heavily favors the musicians in these cases. So it's one of those companies that I've always admired, them as a company, as a service for artists and musicians. Anything that helps musicians make money, I'm a huge fan of. That's why I was at Bandzoogle for so many
Good for you.
years.
Yeah.
Bandzoogle provided so much value for artists with the website and direct to fan e-commerce and mailing lists built in and the whole thing. At Geek Salad, it's like you join for free and you can get really well paid bookings at events that you wouldn't normally be able to find, and that will hopefully help you invest that money or pay your bills so that you don't have to work a side job or drive for Uber or Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever, and you can just focus on making music. So yeah, it's been amazing working with Mark and the team. And I'm still going to some music conferences, but I might go to a magician convention in Las Vegas this summer. Like,
Sure.
because they have different types of entertainers. They have magicians and clowns and face painters, and they're the biggest. When I joined, it was in September, so they're just hitting their busy season. Gig Salad is the world's biggest booker of Santa Clauses in the world.
Wow. Crazy.
It's wild. So September through December is nuts. They don't. It's funny to talk about humans in terms of supply, but like they literally don't have enough supply of Santas to meet the demand.
That's crazy.
Come the holidays. So it's totally it forces me to learn about other types of entertainers, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, just a great team, great platform that offers a really valuable service to entertainers and to people who need to find entertainers. When I'm relatively new parent, my daughter is 4, and it's like, yeah, if I need to find a balloon twister, where am I finding a balloon twister?
Exactly.
So it from on that level is really cool. And also as a musician and I've met musicians at conferences I've been to since joining Gig Salad, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I use Gig Salad." Like Bandzoogle members who know me from Bandzoogle, they're like, "Oh, I'm on Gig Salad. We play weddings all the time, and it gives us extra money to invest in our original music." So whether that's as a violinist or a cover band or whatever, so it's really truly one of those platforms. They've been around since 2007. We were talking, I think, before starting to record, just all the startups that hit us up over the years, and they'd come and go and disappear. And it's nice to be with another company that, like Bandzoogle and now Gig Salad, that they've been around for a long time.
Is reliable.
Is reliable. They're going to be around for a long time. It's just a really solid business that provides a lot of value for artists, where you can make some really good money playing different types of gigs that you wouldn't normally be able to find. So yeah, that's what I'm up to these days, man. But congratulations on this next chapter in the Music Business
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing.
Thanks for
what you
being the
do.
first guest in the next version.
I am absolutely honored, sir. It's always great to chat music industry with you, and I look forward to seeing how things progress.
Thank you. So everybody, Music Biz Weekly Podcast. One more quick shout out to Bruce and Jeremy and everybody at Hypebot Bands in Town. Thank you for your support. And that's it. See everybody next week.
Every month, Thousands of musicians and industry professionals listen to the Music Biz Weekly podcast. If you have a product or service and would like to reach this audience, get in touch with Michael to discuss sponsorship opportunities.
Voices for the Music Biz Weekly podcast provided by LarryDavisVoice.com.